Hi everybody! If you watched one of my streams the other day, you would have heard me talk about how the April ingress charts are really effective. So I thought, since we have all this chaos going on in Kazakhstan, I would quickly look at their ingress chart, and immediately you can see that the moon in Scorpio, no less, or actually it's on the final degrees, the 29th, the unlucky, didn't I say 29, the unlucky degree, the degree where you often get a lot of chaos, upheaval, change. There we go, moon 29 degrees of Libra and the ascendant of 29 degrees of Libra. That is almost an exact conjunction. They are extremely close in terms of the minutes. And there you have significant events in Kazakhstan. I'm going to talk a little bit more about those events, but just to show you, that's a little article there, we're going to come to a little tweet. I just wanted to go back in time and show you the April ingress chart. This is China. Well, that is not the correct chart, actually. Oh, there was another chart where I was going to show you where the moon was on the ascendant, but in the April ingress chart, but that's not it. That's actually China. And that's their natal chart where the moon is on the ascendant. One of my ingress charts had moon on the ascendant. But anyhow, let's just talk about Kazakhstan. Now, on one hand, there were stories it was about fuel prices. Other people were saying it's frustration over lockdown, COVID restrictions, and that vaccination centers were attacked. Then there are other people like this Twitter account, Ehrlich. Sounds like a German name. Okay, I would attempt that one. And it says, urgent update, the Kazakhstan crisis. There's breaking news about the attempted revolution. And one of the conspirators was a Kazakh official who has been linked to Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. This has major implications for geopolitics. It's another mega trend. Then there's another article, which I'm just going to chat to you about, because I think this Kazakhstan thing could be very significant. The other article is suggesting that it's a CIA plot, similar to what was going on when George Soros was funding the putsch, if you could call it that, in Ukraine in order to destabilize Kazakhstan, to kind of poke the Russian bear, provoke Russia into some sort of attack so they can get a hot conflict going with Russia. So other people are suggesting that. I would also suggest that Kazakhstan is key to China's Silk Road initiative. So could China be involved here somewhere? Very, very interesting. I mean, the fact that the moon is on the ascendant indicates to me that, of the April ingress chart, as I just showed you, does indicate to me that there is an element here that it is a grassroots public uprising, public unrest. So I think that both could be true. On one hand, I think it's certainly true that the public have had enough of lockdown, the restrictions, and tensions have bubbled over. But I don't discount that, on the other hand, there are CIA or other intelligence agents, operatives, trying to use this to their advantage. So it could be a little bit of both. Have a look at this article here briefly, just to see what this is saying. Where is it? Where's that gone? Okay, here. This report, I'll just go to the heading of this article in case you want to check it out. It's from Thread Reader, and again, it's the same guy, Ehrlich. And he's saying the situation in Kazakhstan is a much bigger deal than the Western media is letting on. It significantly increases the risk of NATO-Russia conflict. He says there were mass protests, dozens dead. Russia is deploying 3,000 paratroopers because the Kazakh security forces have just been overrun and overwhelmed. Almaty, the main city, largest city and capital, is like a war zone. You see some pictures there. Now he says the reason why Russia is willing to deploy troops is because Russia has a lot of vital national interests in terms of Kazakhstan. As you can imagine, a former satellite state of the Soviet Union. It's almost as important to Russia as Belarus or Ukraine. So obviously a key target then, wouldn't it be, if they wanted to poke the bear or cause problems in Russia. I think there are 19 million residents in Kazakhstan are actual Russian nationals, and they would maybe be refugees because the country is majority Muslim. So if there was some sort of conflict between the ethnic Russians and the Muslim majority, maybe there'd be a refugee crisis with these fleeing into Russia and destabilizing Russia. That's what he's trying to say there. He says Russia does not want to let that happen. Mentions here that Russia and Kazakhstan have the largest continuous land border on the planet, which is also rather interesting. Then Yes, they mention a quarter of the population being ethnic Russians, although Kazakhstani is overwhelmingly Muslim, but the Russians there represent the Orthodox Christian community. Civil war could entail the risk of anti-Russian ethnic cleansing, which of course Russia wouldn't want. So there's a lot of considerations here. Also, there's the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. It's the heart of the Soviet space program. It's still the primary space launch facility for Russia. There's also the Vostochny Cosmodrome in Russia's far east, which will lessen that dependence, but that isn't complete yet. So they're still reliant on this one in Kazakhstan. So they wouldn't want that to fall in the wrong hands. Then it says Russia conducts its anti-ballistic missile testing at the Sari-Shagan site within Kazakhstan, and that's where there's ongoing deployment of their S-550 ABM system, and that's the foundation of their national security. So you see, there's a big security concern here for Russia. So it's certainly possible that elements within the CIA or other intelligence agencies are going to try and use this to provoke a reaction, because Russia's got a lot of interests there, similar to Ukraine, where they have a lot of ethnic Russian speaking nationals who identify as Russian in the eastern part of Ukraine, who gives rise to a kind of Northern Ireland situation, doesn't it, where the Western Ukrainians maybe identify with Europe and want to be part of that, and the Eastern Ukrainians want to be part of Russia. And we have that same situation here with Kazakhstan, with the Muslim population versus the Orthodox Christian Russian population, and there's a conflict there. Plus, if there's a wider crisis, there could be a failure in terms of the national grid, the national infrastructure, because things do seem to be pretty significant there. And if there's a failure of infrastructure, that's also a refugee crisis of all different political or ethnic persuasions flooding into Russia, creating problems. So, and look, they saying this is really significant. I'd say there, with the moon being in such tight conjunction to the ascendant, that this is significant. Then Russia's nuclear fuel cycle is linked to Kazakhstan, very important. Uranium mining operations there belonging to Russia, so lots of strategic interests in terms of mining and minerals. Also, uranium from Kazakhstan is enriched in Novosibirsk, Russia, and then returned to Kazakhstan for use in Chinese nuclear fuel assembly. So there's China, they've got interests as well. So all these security stakes make Kazakhstan a region that Russia is willing to stabilize with force. They've already committed 3,000 troops. And the big question there is how this is going to affect the standoff between Russia and NATO over Ukraine. What is going to happen? So I think this is definitely a situation to watch. It's extremely significant. If I just go back to the chart, we've got moon in this chart rules the ninth house as well, the house of international relations. So there is an international element to this as well, I would say. It's not just solely a uprising within the Kazakh people. It's also got, the fingers of international realpolitik are all over this as well. So I do feel a lot of it is spontaneous and grassroots, but a lot of it is being manipulated for other interests. So just thought I'd bring you that and more evidence that these April ingress charts work and give results. Thanks, guys.